Hello, and welcome to another session of virtual gentle chair yoga with Keith Beasley. My name is Bati Blumenthal. I'm the branch supervisor of the Putterham location of the Public Library of Brookline. Virtual gentle chair yoga with Keith Beasley is sponsored by the Friends of the Brookline Public Library, who sponsor this program and programs like it. As always, participation in this online yoga program could result in injury. Not all exercises presented here are suitable for everyone. These exercises are not intended to substitute for proper medical care or advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any exercise program. The creators, teachers, and producers assume no responsibility for injuries from participation in this program. And with that, I give you Keith.
One of the things that happens or practices that we do in yoga is called alternate nostril breathing. We don't usually practice it, but it is a practice that's done by very gently closing off one nostril like this, so you sound like you talk kind of funny, and then the other one, and you go back and forth. We won't do that one today, but maybe someday we will. And so the breath is so important. So that's a long-winded explanation as to why we're not continuing with the classes in person right now. I hope we get to do that sometime soon. I hope this doesn't last long, but let's begin our practice. Let's go ahead and think about our posture and our breath. So focus on the posture and the breath, sitting up nice and tall in our mountain pose, in the mountain pose. So feeling the feet on the floor or on the soles of the shoes, whatever it is, sandals, whatever your soles of the feet can feel, gently press them down and see if you can feel the soles of the feet underneath you. Perhaps closing the eyes here and just bringing our attention down to the soles of the feet. And lift and spread the toes a few times. And then as you're pressing down, go ahead and lift the heart. So right in the center of the chest here, lifting the center of the chest very gently. Try not to let the chin lift up. Sometimes it wants to. So the face is still straight ahead. And then notice the breath. Notice where the breathing expands the torso. And then see if you can bring it nice and low down around the belly button so that we're getting more movement down. I've got my hand on the navel right here, getting more movement down below. You could even rest two hands here to start with. And if you spread your fingers kind of wide, you can really feel this almost a balloon expanding under the hands. And if you point your thumb up, and so now my fingers are spread and my thumb is up, and slide the hands ever so slightly, you might notice that the breath, the expansion is down here, and then it's even moving up into the lower ribs. And then as we exhale, we feel the lower ribs soften and relax and release and go in, and finally the fingers and the palms do as well. Shoulders are relaxed, the face and eyes are soft here. We feel balanced on the left and right. So if you don't feel balanced, try moving the feet just a little bit and see if you can find a little bit more balance, or even just leaning slightly on the sitting bones. So I'm just leaning a little bit to one side and then the other, so I can feel. You can't see my sitting bones because I'm sitting on them, but I'm feeling them underneath me. And from there, I extend up. So the feet press gently, the sitting bones are pressing gently, and then the spine's extending up. And as I exhale, I soften the face and eyes, relax the shoulders, the arms, the hands and fingers. what we're doing right now, we might call the two-part breath because it's the belly and then the lower ribs. And now we're going to do the three-part breath, or you can, if so you can stay with that, or you could try the three-part breath, which is the belly, the ribs, and then finally the more the upper chest and even the collarbone. So the apex of the lungs comes pretty high in the torso, all the way up near the collarbones. So I can put one hand just below the collarbone at the top of the sternum, and the other hand I spread down around the navel so that my thumb is pointing up. It's almost at the sternum, actually, the thumb. And as I breathe in, I feel first the belly, and then the ribs, and lastly, there's a lifting of the chest, and perhaps a slight spreading of the collarbones, the clavicle right beneath the neck. And the movement is more pronounced at the bottom, and it gets less and less as you move to the top. Almost like a gentle wave at the beach, so that as the wave comes in, or as the water comes in, just a little rippling, the belly lifts, the ribs lift, the chest lifts. And then as the wave goes back out, we soften the upper part of the torso, relaxing the ribs, and finally the belly softens. You might even notice that as you complete your exhalation, there's a slight contraction down around the navel. So as the navel's moving back towards the spine, there's a gentle, very small contraction just to push out the last of the air. Try not to overdo that, though. We'd like it to be a natural response at sort of this rolling end of the exhalation. Just like when we breathe in, we get a natural response at the end of the inhalation of a slight lifting in the heart. And then this gentle rolling out of the breath as we exhale. This might be accompanied by a feeling of lifting, lightness in the torso as things begin to lift and float up on the inhalation, and then they relax and float down. The cheeks, the shoulders, the shoulder blades float down. So these are all micro movements. We talked about micro movements before. They're engagement or disengagement of the muscles and very small movement, except for maybe the belly. The belly's moving in and out a little more. And you might notice overall that there's a little more lifting in the crown of the head, because as we extend the spine and everything's moving up, we get that feeling of a slight lift at the top of the head. So really feeling the breath moving in the body here with ease. We want it to feel like it's so easy, like we're inviting the breath in. Like we're inviting the breath in. And it wants to visit with us. And then the next time you exhale, we'll bring the palms together right in front of the heart and gently press the palms and then relax. So we'll press and then relax. So let the hands come apart in a natural kind of way. And what that means is that we press and then we release the tension. And with the hands, because their natural shape is kind of curled like this, they're going to automatically, if we relax them, go back to this curled shape. So you're going to get space between the palms. And then we press the palms together as we inhale and extend up. And then we relax and the palms float apart. So there is a little effort. You might feel the pectoral muscles in the chest gently moving, pulling the hands together, pushing the hands together. Elbows come together. And this is small movement here. Just maybe a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch at the most. And now we're going to add some more movement to it. Inhaling up and around. Maybe give a little sigh. You can also always take a cleansing breath, which we would do by just inhaling through the mouth. Sort of a, and that can accompany, it fits well with a sigh. So we normally use the nose to breathe. It is polleny this time of year. So the nose might even be a little more stuffed up than usual. In the wintertime, it tends to get stuffed, and also the sun with the pollen. So the other choice, of course, is to find a tissue and blow your nose and breathe just a bit easier. And a couple more times, perhaps noticing the pelvis rocking forward and back. The chin is lifting a little. Remember, don't drop the head backwards. So we want that feeling of lifting upness as we're circling around. And then we're going to bring the palms together. We're going to go back the other way. So now we drop the hands and circle around. If you wanted to try something different here, you could do this standing too. So we do many of the things both ways, or we offer it both ways, but you could do it standing to circle the arms if you're tired of sitting, but only if your balance is good. That's the really nice thing about using a chair when we practice, is the balance is a little easier, whether we're even standing and touching the chair with our hands or we're seated. The props are a very important part of our practice. And the props really, most of the props, I would say, originated with BKS Iyengar, who was he's no longer with us, but he was a very famous yoga person. He wrote a book called Light on Yoga in, I think around 1970, or early, a little while ago. So that was what, 50 years ago. And he was quite flexible. If you can, I don't know if they have it at the library, they might. There's great pictures of him doing all these poses. We're doing our cactus breath now. So we're inhaling and then opening the chest as we inhale. So we're lifting, think about lifting the sternum forward and up slightly. And you might notice the chin lifts up a little bit, and then exhaling, coming back. And you could even let the chin float down a little. Make it a natural movement though. So we'd like things to feel as if they're moving together in a natural way. So as the hands are coming apart, the shoulder blades are coming together, the chin is lifting, the pelvis rocks forward slightly. And then it goes the opposite as the hands come back together. Pelvis rocks back, the shoulder blades spread apart. And if you'd like, you can give yourself a little hug. Always good to have a hug. And then inhaling. So and when we hug, we're exhaling. Feeling the shoulder blades spreading apart, inhaling. Hands come apart, exhale. So swinging the hands back and forth. Find a rhythm here. Don't worry about staying with me. Think about the rhythm, perhaps closing the eyes here and just feeling the arms swinging open, like almost like a door swings open. And then we close the door a couple more times, building flexibility and building Some ease of movement in the shoulders and the shoulder blades. So if your shoulders feel like they're bunched up like this, or if they don't feel like they're relaxed relatively, then bring the hands down further and stay lower. We want to keep the shoulders in a relaxed position. And the elbows no higher than the shoulders. You might even notice one side moves more easily than the other. And we've talked about how we're all asymmetrical. That it's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. It's our reality. And let's step the feet slightly wider apart. So we have, and let's tap the feet. Give the feet a little tap. So you could tap like this. And notice when the feet tap, if you can feel the ball of the foot right here. Feel the ball of the foot and spread the toes slightly as you're tapping. So we're trying to wake things up in the feet and the toes. We often have shoes on. So even if you do this with shoes on, if you do this, if you do it on a regular basis, you can start to wake the feet up more so that they become a little more responsive when we walk. And then rocking the feet back and forth. So this is a little more maybe for the ankles, lifting the heels, lifting the toes, lifting the heels, lifting the toes. And notice how the knees are going up and down too. So my knees are lifting up and then they go down and I rock back. You might even notice that the abdomen is working here. We need to keep ourselves lifted up as we rock back and forth on the feet. And let's go ahead and lift, this time lift the toes and the balls of the feet up and spread the toes. And then slowly put the feet back down. So even if you're inside, even if your feet are in shoes, or sandals, see if you can do this with control. So lifting up, toes spread, and then down. And they might not spread as much inside the shoes, but we are activating. We want to get the muscles that are lifting and spreading these toes to activate. And then let's do some leg lifting now. So for this one, I'm going to slide back in the chair. And I'm going to begin to lift one foot and then the other. Oops, one foot and then the other. So I'm going to start going back and forth, making sure I feel supported behind me. So if I need to slide back a little more, or the other choice is you can provide some cushioning. You could put something at the small of the back behind you, at the back of the chair for support. So anything to make it so the back feels more support and it's easier to lift up. And when it's easier to lift up, we're able to feel the extension of the leg a little bit more. So whenever we have to work really hard to do something, it means that we're not able to focus as much in another area. So if we have to think about lifting the spine up, then we can't focus as much on feeling the heel pressing away and the toes coming back as we lift the foot. Heel presses away, toes come back. So it's like I'm flexing like this, the ankle, but it's not as big a movement. It's a smaller movement back. Also, you could try going slower, going really slowly. Of course, you can always add an arm to it too, if you like, or two arms. Making sure that you're able to keep lifted. Still lifting. Very important to be able to maintain the lift in the spine, even as we extend the legs. And if you wanted to, you could even do both legs and adding an arm or two. So it's it gets more challenging each time we've taken away our support. Especially notice that you have to work harder to keep the spine lifted. When the arms are up and the legs are up, it's harder. More work in the belly, more work in the back. Make sure there's no pain or discomfort, especially in the lower back here. And also in the shoulders too. If you're raising your arms up, we do not want pain in the shoulders, and that includes the neck area too. The neck and shoulders are so interrelated. And let's bring the hands and feet down and do a little swimming here. A little bit of swimming. So starting to feel a turning in the belly here. So the belly is turning as the arms are circling slightly back. So the shoulders here are still relaxed. So I'm not trying to get a big rotation in the shoulders. I'm using the movement back of the elbow and the shoulder to start to turn the torso here. You could even, if you put your hands right on your belly like this, you might even notice as you move the shoulder back like this, that you can feel your belly sort of like turning and twisting. So we're getting more work going on here in the abdomen. This turning, good for digestion and elimination. This gentle turning. And the head is really just sitting there. So for this one, if you're assuming you're doing this seated, and you could even actually you could do this standing too if you wanted. If you wanted to, you could do it standing. But assuming you're doing it seated, you could even try closing the eyes and then feeling, see if you can feel more happening in the belly. And let's go the other way now. So we'll do our crawl stroke, reaching out and across, down the outside of the leg. And maybe laying the ear as if there was water, as if you were swimming in water. You would lay the ear right in the water, gently resting the ear on the water. So I'm not so much turning my head as I am the torso turning and just gently placing the ear as if I was swimming. And then coming back up, let's do the neck. Actually, let's circle the shoulders for a moment. In case there's any built up tension there, circling the shoulders and then one shoulder and then the other. See if you can keep them going in as if kind of like a bicycle. So when you pedal a bicycle, the pedals are sort of going at the same time in opposite directions. See if you can do the same thing with the shoulders. Keep both shoulders moving, and the one shoulder's moving forward while the other one's back, and one shoulder's moving up while the other's going down, like bicycle pedals. I'm thinking you could even try it with the hands like this, as if your hands were on a bicycle pedal. If you've ever tried bicycling with your hands like this, and let's go the other way now. And there's still some turning going on. So let that belly turn. So you can even reach a little further out with the hands. So as they circle, I'm reaching a little further out. And that helps to actually facilitate the turning. And then coming back and lifting the chin up, sitting up nice and tall, and then exhaling down. So we're going to go back and forth like this. Keeping the spine long, but allowing the neck, or from the base of the neck to the skull, to bend with ease. So we want the head to be, the chin to be going up and down as if it was almost like a little tail on the end of the spine. And there's no forcing here, just letting the weight of the head do the work. Just releasing the chin down and then lifting it up, and ever so slightly it goes back. Try not to compress the back of the neck. If you drop the head back, it tends to compress the neck and the behind. And let's sit up nice and tall, and then tip the head. Perhaps leaning a little bit as you tip the head. So now this is more of a full body kind of bend. Or if you prefer, you could sit up nice and tall and not bend the body so much, and let the head tip, just still from the weight of the head. So no matter which way you're doing it, whether or not it's more of a whole body bending, or you're just tipping the neck, we still want to maintain letting the weight of the head do the work. Keeping the face and eyes relaxed here. And of course, oh, you have your pillow too. If you wanted to, you could make a pillow with the hands for support. Sometimes this makes it easier for the neck to relax if we provide just a bit of support. And then coming up and then turning the head. Let's add the hand to it, as if we were swishing the hand back and forth. Maybe if it was, if we were burning incense during our practice, which it's probably not the best idea for our yoga practice because we rely on the breath so much. But some people like incense, but imagine there's some smoke in front and you're waving it away. Waving it away, and you can switch hands too. And then let's go the opposite way. So now the hand is going in one direction and the nose and chin are going in the other. So go slow enough so you're able to time it. So the face is pointing in the opposite direction when the hand gets to the opposite side. And if we were to stop in the middle, the hands would line up. Maybe not exactly. Mine didn't line up exactly. Try the other hand, but more or less. So we get a little rhythm going here. So you could even try, if you wanted, a little faster. You could experiment with how fast you go. A little faster is a little more stimulating, but you might also lose track of what you're doing. So sometimes going slower is a better way to keep things, keep the rhythm. And then actually that's true when we practice. If you do anything with music, you do drumming, you do anything with music, we always practice slowly at first so we can keep things together. It's the same with our yoga practice. We practice slowly to get the rhythm, and then over time, once we get the rhythm, we can go faster. And then we can still go slower, but we teach the body to have that rhythm. And let's see. Oh, let's slide forward in the chair. Let's do some circling for the So at the waist, we are circling. The shoulders are circling. You might want your feet a little wider apart or slightly further out away from the chair to provide support as you lean forward and to the side. So we want to feel supported when we do this. So we can put our hands on the knees for extra support. If you want more of a challenge, you can remove the hands and circle them out front. And of course, the more the hands get away from the body, the more challenging it is. Be mindful that you can keep the lift in the upper part of the body. Keeping the lift in the upper part of the body so the spine's not collapsing. Let's go the other way now. If your shoulders bother you here, try dropping the shoulders and maybe lifting the elbows. That might even be a fun way to practice, is think about the elbows moving in a circle around the body. So now I'm bringing my attention right to the elbows as I'm circling. So my hands are just touching each other. They're kind of holding on, holding each other gently. And then coming back up. And let's lean from side to side. We're going to start to engage the abdomen a little more here. And also the hip flexors. So we start to lift. So we need, in order to walk well, to walk with some ease, and to walk long distances, we need strength in the hip flexors, strength in the abdomen, strength in the gluteal muscles. We need strength in the core. So this is our core. This whole area includes really, some people might even include the quadriceps in the core of the body, all the way up to around the shoulders. But we need strength, it's especially important as we get older, to maintain our strength. So a little bit of, I don't know if anybody does any weightlifting, not the big heavy weights, but very light weights. You can even use, I've seen people use, the plastic water bottles too. If you don't have weights at home, get a couple of water bottles. Water's quite heavy, and use that as part of your practice. But not overdoing it. So if you're doing any sort of weight training, and same thing goes with yoga, and you're really sore after or the next day, then maybe you overdid it and you need to dial it back a little bit. It's a way that we get our feedback is if we're really sore. It's sitting up nice and tall. Take a couple of breaths. Let's do some cactus breaths, actually. Cactus breaths. And this time we're going to inhale. And if you want, we can exhale, cross, and we're going to inhale in place. Inhaling. Notice how the breath in the front of the body, where my arms are crossed, the chest is restricted. So the breath wants to move into the back where the shoulder blades are. Relaxing the shoulders. And now inhale. And open the heart, and then exhale. You can cross, and inhaling in place, and exhaling. And inhaling. So that inhalation with the arms crossed in place opens up the back of the body more. Inhaling. When the breath can't move to the front, it moves to the back. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling. Inhaling, and then coming back. So let's start with tree pose. So tree pose, it's a balance pose. It's we would refer to it as a standing pose, but also, or a seated, the way we're going to start, but also it's grounding. So see if you can feel, as you focus on your tree pose, the connection between the body and the earth, the body and the earth. And then at the same time it's grounding, it's also has a certain lightness to it, a lifting up, sort of the idea of the sky, as if, you know, trees are connected with the earth and they're connected with the sky, with the sun. So think of yourself like a tree that way, connected with the earth and also lifted up by the sky. So there's a lightness, especially up top, and a firmness, or maybe even, I hate to call it a heaviness, but a stoutness in the bottom part of the body. So our trunk, our leg or legs are stout, and our upper body is light, and our branches are light. So let's try that. So you could even visualize perhaps yourself as a tree. And that visualization isn't, we know we're not trees, but it helps us to make that connection. We know that trees are grounded. I mean, everybody knows that trees grow into the earth, and everybody knows that trees grow up in towards the sky. So we help to mentally visualize that idea for ourselves, and sitting up tall and then stepping the foot out to the side and extending the spine up. Notice, remember, the torso faces straight ahead. And then bringing the sole of the foot on the inside of the chair. If you know a tree standing, you want to do it standing, of course, please feel free. It's your practice. So, and then we're going to inhale and extend the arms. And then go ahead and bring the hands back for a moment and inhale and extend the arms again. And each time you extend the arms, press that front foot down. That's our grounding, our stoutness. Our leg is being stout. And extend the spine up, reaching especially the heart up, as if there's a lightness carrying us up towards the sky. So you could try this a few times to get that feeling of lifting, of upness. So we use the extension of the arms to help facilitate that. And once you get that feeling, you can stay there and just breathe. And as you exhale, feel the connection with the earth. And as you inhale, feel the lightness, feel the connection with the sky. Perhaps pressing the foot down too. So as we press down, we are isometrically contracting the quadricep. And then whenever you're ready, you can lower the arms down. And of course, that goes for any of the poses that we do. When you're ready to come down, go ahead and come down. You can always come back up. You can always come back up and then come down. Even if you do it multiple times, sometimes the movement is moving, going up and down is a better way to practice than to hold the arms up, especially if things start to get stiff. If you're in a yoga position and you start to feel stiffness or things aren't moving well, then go ahead and add the movement back to it. Go back to where you started and then do this movement. Even if the whole time you did that would be okay. Well, we would call that a dynamic, doing the pose dynamically, and then stepping the other side out. So finding that connection with the earth on the front leg here, and extending up. And the torso is facing straight ahead. So you might need to turn slightly. And then finding the chair leg with the sole of the foot. And extending the arms up. Bring that lightness to the torso as you extend up. And try that a few times. So each time we extend up, we're pressing this front foot down, isometrically contracting the quadricep, and then lengthening the torso and bringing lightness to the shoulders and the arms and the head. So try that a few times as if you're pressing down, and then the movement begins down at the foot, comes up the leg, up the torso, up the arms, up through the crown of the head. And then exhaling, coming down. So inhaling up. And whenever you want, you could stay in that position, or you could do the whole pose like this. Notice if it feels a little taller after you've done a few ups and downs. And of course, if you want to pause and just breathe, stay in the position, that's okay too. And then lower the arms down and come back. Let's try do the sun breath again for a moment. Inhaling, bringing the hands up and then circling around. So this is the same idea, this pressing the feet, extending the spine up. The arms help to lengthen the torso and the spine. So the arms are like an extension of the spine. That's the feeling that we want to have when we do our tree pose. And come back. So we'll do tree pose again. This time I'll show it standing. You can repeat it seated if you want, or if you want to do it standing, you can. You might want to have your chair handy. But I'll show it. I'll hold the chair, put the chair over there so it's easier for you to see. So standing up nice and tall. So our mountain pose, when we stand, we can bend the knees slightly, and then we straighten the knees and the thighs move back towards the wall behind us. So we want to activate the quadriceps. The belly moves in ever so slightly. So sometimes the belly wants to stick out like this. Notice how I get a big curve in the lower back here? That's a little, it's too much. So I want to bring the belly in, and notice how the back, the curve, it's still there, but it's less. And then I'm extending up, moving the shoulders back and releasing the arms down. Extending the crown of the head up. So I could bend the knees ever so slightly. Notice it's very slight. Also, I'm engaging the inner thighs. So I have this rolly thing. I use a block or a box of tissues. But if I hold something between the thighs like this, it's a way to engage the inner thighs and help to lift the arches up. So I'm extending up, and then I'm going to step my foot out. This is our tree pose again. Pressing that straight leg down, pressing the sole of the foot down as I extend up, and then find a spot for the sole of the foot. And then I can add the arms up, and I could even do this extending up. And it may be sometimes if we're moving and we're doing a standing pose like this, balance is a little bit harder. And see if you can let go of some of the effort, find that drishti point. So that point of concentration, and lifting up, breathing in. So is that as if I'm floating up as I inhale, pressing the foot down, so I'm grounding, and then floating up as I'm inhaling. So I feel the connection with the earth, the connection with the sky. And then come on down. Take a couple of breaths. And let's do the other side. So mountain pose first, slight bend in the knees, press the thighs back. Oh, also the buttocks, right? The gluteal muscles right here are firmed up. They're squeezing in slightly towards each other. So there's a firmness here, firmness on the backside, firmness in the belly. This whole area is nice and firm as I extend up, and then I'm going to step my foot out. Press the foot down, extend the torso up, and then find a spot on the inside of the calf. Just don't put the foot on, don't put the heel of the foot or the foot on the knee. You could even bring, if you wanted to, you could bring the foot up on the inside of the thigh as well, like this. But that's not, it's not necessary. And then adding the arms. And I think we were doing this, extending up. Find that drishti point. Extend up, foot presses down into the earth, leg extends up, torso extends up. Feel the lightness. And then perhaps pausing and just taking a couple of breaths. You can always step down. See if you can find some ease here, some ease, maybe even smile, some joy in the pose. So a tree, I guess trees are joyful. I don't know. They used to do experiments with plants, and they would put them up, put electrodes on them, and I don't know if that was really true. I don't know if it was really happy plants or not, but they would say that plants would give off certain electrical signals, and that was when they were happy, and when they were stressed, they gave off different signals. That was a while ago. I don't know if that's still how much work has been done in that area recently, but it's an interesting thing to think that, you know, plants or something we don't normally associate with having feelings or joy might, I don't know. And let's sit back down. And let's interlace the fingers like this. And then we're going to inhale and come on up. So find some, you want to feel balanced, stable. So you might want the feet a little bit. Remember, a triangular shape is very stable. The 2 feet with the sitting bones here form a triangle like this. And then we're going to inhale up and down. So do this a few times. And then we're going to lift up. This time I'm going to keep the hands like this with the palms open, kind of like a dome. And then I'm going to lean from one side to the other. And I'm going to start with a little bit of leaning. Try to keep the torso facing straight ahead. Sometimes there's a tendency for the torso to do this, especially for the upper part of the body. You might notice that as I lean, say I'm mirroring you and I'm leaning to the right, there's a tendency for that that left arm to do this, or the left shoulder to come forward. See if you can maintain the body in the same plane as if you were between 2 panes of glass. Even if you can't lean as much. So the more you lean, the more of a tendency there is for this movement of the shoulder. Let's see if you can keep it. And if this bothers your shoulders, you could also work with the hands apart like this. You could even work with the hands like this. So whatever you need to do to get the shoulders feeling okay. And then notice, and bring the arms down for a second. So notice here that as we lean to the side, there can be a tendency to round this we collapse down here. See if you can keep the length as you lean to the side. So this area is still long. And then we go to the other side. We're going to go back and forth like that. And if you wanted to do it with movement, you could even add the arm like this. So your choice, you could have both hands like this. You could have a little more movement, a little more dynamic with the shoulders. Or you could work with just the elbows even. So this is very good for building strength in the sides of the body. And of course, the more you lean, the more challenging it's going to be. If you need support, you could also bring the hand down to the chair or even to the leg like this. So don't sacrifice if you're straining, if you feel the sides are straining, give them some support. Be nice to yourself. if you're not nice to yourself, who's going to do it? And sitting up nice and tall. Take a couple of breaths. Inhale and exhale. So we just did that in preparation for triangle pose. So we're going to do triangle pose. I'm going to walk the feet apart, and the hip and the knee and the toes are pointed in the same direction. So try to not twist the knee. We want especially the knee and the toes to be pointed in the same direction. And then I'm going to add the arms out to the side like this. And so just a moment ago, we were keeping the side of the body lengthened. So as we do triangle pose, we want the bending to come down where the thigh meets the torso. So notice this is still long under here as I reach out. So try that a few times. We'll go to one side and then the other. Keeping that under the armpit and the side ribs long on the underside. Almost like I'm reaching out. Almost like I'm reaching out. I'm going to come forward a little so I can reach out more. So I'm reaching out. And it might even be, the other side's not curving. I'm not doing this, but it kind of keeps it, when I reach out, notice how straight it is. And of course, doing it without straining. So don't go so far to the side that you're straining the side of the body, straining the side muscles. And if you wanted to, you could even maybe almost like a dance, little back and forth. And of course, if you needed support, you could say you could have something out to the sides. If you had two chairs out here, you could actually reach. If this is my chair here, it wouldn't be that far, but I could reach to put my hand on top of the chair. So if you wanted to practice this to build strength in the sides of the body, and also to build this a little more flexibility in this side movement like this, you could put a chair on either side, touching the top of the chair for support. And then sitting up nice and tall. Let's roll the shoulders. Now we're going to do triangle standing. So you can repeat what we just did, or you can try it standing, if that works for you, if standing is okay. So standing tall in mountain pose, and then stepping the feet apart. So the wider you have the feet, the more challenging it becomes. So extending the arms out, and then inhaling, extending the spine up, and then reaching out, and then letting the hand come down for support. And then inhale up, and exhale the other side. Inhale, and exhale. And inhale, and exhale. Inhale, exhale. And this is another place where if you had those chairs on either side, you could, instead of coming down to the leg, you could gently rest the hand. If this wall was the chair, I could rest my hand on the chair for a moment. And if you wanted, you could even, sometimes we pause and take a breath there. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale the arms down. Relax the shoulders, and then go ahead and walk the feet back in. So this is one method is this toe heel, moving the toes and heels back and forth to get, or you could even take small steps like this. It's harder to jump back. Some people might want to jump all the way back from an open position, but that tends to be it's a little more jolting. So working with the body in a more relaxed and gentle manner keeps things a little bit calmer. And let's go ahead and settle into, actually, let's do some sun breaths. Inhale and exhale, so circle around. Go ahead and relax the shoulders here. Soften the face and eyes. Relaxing the jaw and the tongue and the throat. And let's go the other way. And we'll settle into our Shavasana, our final relaxation pose. So you might notice that for this chair, for me, my feet are wider apart. I wouldn't normally have my feet this wide apart, but it's easier because the back of this chair goes down a little bit. So it's more comfortable for me to sit like this than I would normally sit in my chair, and I would be at the back of the chair and my feet would be closer together. So if you're in a different chair, you want to experiment, you can try widening the stance or narrowing the stance to get whatever is most comfortable. Thinking about the position of the pelvis here. So we have the, we want the pelvis to rock forward enough where the lumbar spine is at a natural curve. So if the back is too, even if I'm sitting up tall, but my back is flat like this, the spine doesn't have its nice natural strength. It's hard to relax in that position because it's the shape of the spine is not in a relaxed shape. And so we want to find that spot where the pelvis is tipped the right amount. And for this chair, it's wider for the knees. And sitting up nice and tall, feeling the soles of the feet, connecting with the earth, extending the spine up from the sitting bones, relaxing the shoulders down. Feeling the belly moving in and out with the breath. Bring the attention inwards. Perhaps closing the eyes if they're not. Giving the body a chance to relax, giving the breath a chance to slow down. It might take a minute or two. If we just notice the breath, notice the belly moving, the breath usually slows down on its own with a little time. As the breath slows down, the rest of the body relaxes. The eyes soften, the face relaxes. Maybe the ears relax. The back of the neck relaxes. The throat softens. The jaw releases. Shoulders, arms, hands and fingers, all soften, relax, release, let go. The shoulder blades, the heart and chest, the belly, the lower back. Release, relax, and let go. The buttocks, the hips, the groins, the thighs, Release, relax, let go. Knees, shins, and calves. Release, relax, and let go. And the feet and the toes. Release, relax, let go. So each part of the body feels a little softer, a little more relaxed. And if you'd like to soften the body further, you can go back up to the top of the head. And as if you were being covered by a very, very gentle and slow wash of a shower, imagine that relaxation, that releasing, relaxing, letting go, beginning at the top of the head, and then coming slowly down the body. So with your mind's eye, just following down from the crown of the head, past the face and eyes, the back of the skull, down the neck, the throat, the shoulders, the arms, the rib cage, hands, hips and buttocks, down the legs, past the knees, shins, calves, ankles, all the way down to the toes. And you could repeat this any number of times, and each time the body relaxes just a bit more. And anytime you notice the breath, allow the breath to be soft and relaxed and at ease. So thank you very much for practicing today. That concludes our formal class. Please stay with your practice of relaxation just a little longer, even just a few minutes, just a few breaths even. It's always a big benefit for relaxation after our practice. We'll see everyone next time. Namaste.